hate to break it to you, but your bug out bag is likely bullshit. Uh, so often we hear about like fight or flight, and the truth is, it should be the other way around. As I'm fighting this fly that I don't know where it came from, but it's been here for like way too long. Anyway, in most instances of like stuff going really wrong, you're gonna be fighting well before you're fighting. And what are you fighting for anyway? If you're leaving the area, it means that you have nothing worth fighting for and you're already like giving up hope. When we look at examples through history, the Khmer Rouge, however you say it, when like the Communist Party, it was killing people off in Cambodia. There were 7 million people in country, and 1.7 million of them died. That is not something you're gonna fight with your couple hundred rounds of 22 ammunition. So you got to get out of there. Uh, and well, this goes back to the video the other day. Like most of you are out of shape to begin with, and I know from like my own experience being like overweight, like it takes a long time to get that in check, and it's a lifelong journey. But if you're not in great shape, you're not going to be running. You hear accounts of the people fleeing Cambodia, and they're literally running for days on end. And so this goes back to what we were talking about the other day. You got to be in shape, but in order to run and in order to move quickly, and in order to not appear like you have resources, and embrace that gray man, you need to look poor, and nothing screams wealthy like 80 pounds of gear on your back. When we look at ultralight hikers, I think that this is kind of like the middle ground and the nice place to think about, like having a little bit of gear but not having like so much. And I've been through every evolution of like bug out bag, every evolution of survival kit, from like heavy plate carriers and 120-pound backpacks mimicking like what the army is doing, to like ultralight gear. And if you've been to one of our survival classes, you know I carry around like next to nothing, and a lot of that stuff is just extra stuff to show you options. But for me, we'll get into this more as the video progresses. All I want is a knife, a saw, a tarp, 2 water bottles is really nice, a multi-tool, and some rope. So a knife, a saw, 2 water bottles, multi-tool, and some rope. And I can get by for a very long time. I'd also really like to have some 22 gauge like snare wire, but we can get by with just a knife if we have to. That's what we teach, completely primitively, to like more like money invested permaculture farming, sustainable homesteading. But the idea is that we can do it with nothing and work our way up, because the skills aren't going to leave us behind when the shit hits the fan. What did William Wallace say? Right, like they can take our bug out bag, but they'll never take our freedom. All right, that wasn't it. Whatever. But so many of these bug out bags are like just nonsense, straight up nonsense, built to get you separate from your money, and enrich the people that are selling them to you. Uh, Training trumps gear all the time. And we did a homestead mastermind where we were just looking at bug out bags and like critiquing them, and the takeaways were like, man, a lot of those were sad. And a lot of these like survival experts online are pushing their product by saying like this will keep you alive, and like guaranteeing your survival, and like, which is a great guarantee for them, because if you die, like you're not gonna like sue them, and there's no repercussions of saying that like 100% chance of survival, 4 years worth of food. It's like, what if I eat a lot over that like time? What if I just get the munchies and I'm like locked up in my basement and all I do is want to eat? What if I'm bulking and now I have to explain to the other 4 people in the bunker that why I ate so much food? But like all of these things, you have to like internalized and then practice with. That's the takeaway of this video, is that if you're not practicing, your bug out bag is not going to get you anywhere. I see a lot of people show up to class in, not a lot anymore, thankfully. It's been less and less, but showing up in like chest rigs and showing up in with like just weird stuff. But somebody told them that was a good idea. Like, how many zip ties do you really need? How many chem lights do you really need? The answer is none. Like, I've never been at a time out in a survival situation seeing and been like, oh man, thankfully I have these zip ties. I do carry rope with me, but that's a different story. With the knowledge of knots, you can tie a whole lot of things together. We showed a wrap and frap knot coming up in one of our videos. But that literally like held the world together for a long time. You look at like Polynesian buildings, or like, you know, the bamboo structures. Those were held up with like wrap and frap. It wasn't until like more recently and not like recently, but like closer in history, did we come up with like timber framing, and then like nails, right? And I've literally seen people with nails in their bug out bag, and there's so many skills that would take the place of those nails. Now, granted, it's time involved, and you have to be like balancing that. How much time are you putting into something? How much, but rope gets it done every time. And if you're running from people, like we talked about in the first example, you're not going to need that anyway. You're just going to need to get out of there and sneak your way through checkpoints and make sure you're not on the wrong side of things. So the rope is great. The snare wire is great. Oftentimes I see people like, oh, having a brick of 22 ammo in their bag, and like, cool, sweet, guns are cool. I've got mine here. Like, guns are great. I carry one every day. You've seen it in the videos. You've seen the TikTok bans. But like we have to weigh active versus passive. And so we harp on traps all the time, and it's the difference of like trapping versus like hunting with a bow and arrow. You're wasting a lot of calories and sitting in a tree or a blind or whatever, waiting for the deer to come, when we can set hundreds of traps in no time at all, and have a nice ability to bring in food while we're doing other things. And if you're thinking that you're going to be hunting with a 22, I just don't see it happening. One, because if everybody around you is feeling ill and hungry and on edge, you shooting a gun is going to bring unwanted attention to you. That you have resources, at least you have a gun, and if they're hungry, then maybe a kill. So you can't be doing that. Traps are better all the time. And I've seen people with store-bought traps. I'm guilty as one. I really like the conibears, right? But I wouldn't pack one in my bag because it weighs too much. These things are heavy, and for the price of a couple sticks and some snare wire, I can infinitely affect my survival scenario that way. Chem lights, pack a flashlight, right? Med kits, that's a big one for me. I see like some trauma kits, and I've seen people with like blood pressure cuffs and stethoscopes. Like, bro, are you a doctor now? Like, fucking Doogie Howser over here, checking people's blood pressure and like doing, and like, you don't know how to do that. Our job as like wilderness first responders, not that I'm one, but the job of wilderness first responders is to like stabilize you and get you to larger medical systems. So like, no, just no. But the biggest gripe about med kits is like no one's ever been through them, and like a lot of the stuff is like still in cardboard boxes. That's extra weight. You haven't practiced with them if they're in cardboard boxes and wrapped in plastic. And so you all, like, if you're gonna go that route, you often have to buy two of those med kits, one so you can practice, and then one so you can like actually take it with you, because you don't want to be digging into your pack and using your stuff without like some sort of rotation plan. Another thing, bio like the BioLite stoves and the power pots and these things that produce solar panels, even like uh, it's great for like through hiking trips where you're limited in fuel source, but the fire is everywhere. Like, and if we teach how to make fire with, and that's so we teach how to make fire with like, if you can make it with just a match, or you can make it with a bow drill, then you can make it with like a lighter and other stuff. Um, and so we have reliable fire that way, but we're not gonna pack extra gear to charge our cell phone. It's like, bro, I don't know. That just seems misguided to me. Uh, but yeah, so back to the fire. We teach that because we've literally seen people show up to class. I've given them a trash bag full of paper and mail, uh, and said, "Go to work. Let me see your fire skills." And maybe I set them up poorly with all that paper. It's a little bit of a trap, but like they haven't been able to create fire for 2 hours, literally 2 hours, and I'd say. Like I need this time back. And I should have cut them way early, but like whatever. Uh, but it's really eye opening to people that have never started a fire how difficult it is if you don't have the organization, and no amount of gear in your bug out bag is going to get you there. It's the skills. And so let's say you do have a lighter in your bag, right? Another thing I've seen is people show up with a lighter that's been bouncing around their bag for 6, 8 months, however long it is, and all the gas has run out. Sure, there's like a zip tie around the. I need to make a video just on that specifically, but you put a zip tie around the press down, the gas switch of the lighter, and it kind of like breaks that, so you can't press down on it in the bag. Then when you want to use it, you just cut that off. Now you have a working lighter. That's a great way to store one. But make sure you practice with that. And it just goes to show that like we need less gear. And if we look back at the ultralight campers that are, or the ultralight backpackers that are moving, like doing the Appalachian Trail at speed, they're carrying like 10 to 20 pounds worth of gear, and like half of that is food and water. Um, so again, all I really want to have with me is like a really good knife, and then the rule like two is one and one is none comes into play here. So I actually have like a two knife system with a really nice silky saw, a tarp, two times on the stainless steel water bottle. Make sure it's uninsulated, and because like if it is insulated, that it doesn't heat up over the fire in the right way, and you have like a lot of risk there, and a lot of rope, just a shit ton of rope. Because we use it quickly when we're wrapping frapping. We might have like 6 arm lengths, like 30 feet or something might be taken up in making a really like secure wrap and frap around like a structurally sound wrap and frap. Um, Another thing I might add is a water filter in there, because if you want to be really quiet, not start a fire, having something like a Katadyn pocket filter or a life straw, even if you're like concerned about weight. But I said two times on the stainless steel water bottle, because while one is over the fire, the other one is cooling, so you can constantly have this rotation of water bottles. But the truth is, you have to have the skill. This is what we teach in our survival essentials class: how you can meet your needs with nothing, and then we only select a few tools to make that easier. And we're like, I mean, I can fit all that stuff in my pocket and be really, really happy. Uh, and we have to do that because, like, what if you're running from an enemy? You're turned over, like crossing a creek, or like you're in a rafting situation and your bag starts floating down and you don't have the ability to get it. All that stuff in the kit, I can literally tie off to my belt line and make sure I'm going to have it regardless of hell or high water. And I look just like a normal dude. You wouldn't know. So if like people are eyeing you up, that gray man philosophy is super important. You don't want to be the man wearing like the pink hat or having the man bun, right? It's like everybody knows. Oh, it's he's out of place, or he's readily and easily identifiable. If you just, blend into the environment and the way people look, you won't be looted by opportunists, right? And that's another way that you lose. Just it's like, oh, that person has something valuable. Um, Maybe we should take care of that. And with the skills, we can build back better from nothing, right? There's never been a place that I haven't been able to find trash for a container, and securing a knife is very easy wherever I've been. Um, and if not, then like you flint knap some rocks, you get a glass wine bottle. You can flint knap that. That's what we teach in class. Actually, is like how to knap with glass bottles because they're easily attainable and they're not super expensive, and that's a long process to learn that. So it's cheap for us to get a lot of reps in with the glass bottles. But ultimately, let's build like the skills so we're not reliant on gear. Because when you need it, the skills won't leave you hanging, and they won't leave you high and dry. But all this stuff, thinking that you're going to buy your survival, it's just not going to happen, right? The skills are what's going to get you by, and they're always going to be there. So I heavily encourage you to invest in the skills before you build a bug out bag, because they'll pay for themselves. And the speed that you do things in the woods, creating traps, uh, creating shelters, it can be done. Purifying water, building the tools from the landscape. It can be done without anything, and we need to have that connection to nothing before we have a connection and like a. It also feels like a keeping up with the Joneses too, a little bit, right? Like, uh, oh, this dude on the internet has these bug out things, and like my internal self worth is nothing unless that I buy these tools for the bug out bag. And I've been down this road, and I just want to encourage you to get training. Part of that is watching videos like this. If you like this video and you made it this far, I know that you're serious about surviving whatever life throws at you, and I'd encourage you to like and follow, and excuse me, and like and follow, and check out sustainablehomestead.com. That's a place that you could go through our online resource. You can check out the classes that we teach, and really like get involved. Maybe the best way to do that is the Homestead Mastermind. Every Wednesday night, 6:30 Eastern time, we're talking with a group of like-minded individuals, seasoned survivalists, and like experienced homesteaders to kind of build the tribe and build the collective of knowledge, so that people just getting into this can get into it easier and faster, and literally shave decades off the time it would take you to figure this stuff out on your own. There's some wonderful resources there, and I would invite you to join. The way you can get all of that is sustainablehomestead.com. And as always, preparedness today means peace of mind tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I hope you got a lot out of this video. Check back for more. Peace.